Hi guys, this is Jamie with GettingCrafty.net. Thank you for joining our Getting Crafty virtual class using the Into the Woods or Winter Woods bundle. We're going to go ahead and create 4 fun cards. Once you've created them, make sure you take time to post them on our Getting Crafty Stampers group to show us what you've done. And when you do, I will private message you via Facebook. It does take me a day or two. And I'll send you a happy mail with a little gift inside. Ew, aren't you excited? Now, your kit will come with everything you need to create this, except for the add-ons of which are listed on my blog. If you have any questions, you'll see them listed. You can go ahead and add them as you need. Now, we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to create with some unique techniques these 4 fun cards. And as I'm creating, I'll keep a picture of the image in one corner, and then I'll create here so you have full access. What we're going to do is using the copper glimmer paper, you'll have in your set the words amazing die cut from the Celebrate You Thinlits. That's item number 146840, 146840. And the Amazing You Celebrate, one of my favorite sets ever. I love it. Hopefully if you don't own it, you can go ahead and grab this for yourself. I'm setting things aside as we're creating, and this is the new glimmer paper in the holiday catalog, and this is the copper glimmer. I love it. So when I die cut, I actually will alternate the sides so that I can try to get as much as possible out of this beautiful paper. What we're going to do is your piece will come embossed. This is the Cajun Craze, and we're going to use this beautiful wood texture deep embossing folder. So it's extra thick, and what that means is this. We're going to take a Big Shot die cutting machine, boop, and we're going to take the regular platform and one of the dies. So we're going to remove these 2 pieces here and leave the bottom platform. What you're going to do is place your wood inside, or your design or cardstock, the Cajun Craze, which is cut at 4 1/4 by 5 1/4, and then we're going to go ahead and emboss it with just 1 plate. That's all. Make sure that it's straight as you're putting it through, because you don't want to cockeye it and tear up your embossing folder, because that will happen if you're not careful. Okay, let's go ahead and emboss it. Yours will come embossed, so you don't have to worry about that, but this will give you an idea of what we do. When they're extra thick like that, you do not need to go above and beyond, because it creates this lush, rich, beautiful textured background. Then I'm going to set aside my Big Shot. I love my Big Shot, you guys. I'm sure you know that. If you don't know that about me, I do. Okay, and then we're going to take the Cajun Craze cardstock. It's scored at 4 1/4, cut at 5 1/2. And we're going to use an a bone folder to impress upon an edge, just like so. This is such an easy card, but this technique is so cool with it. Now, what I'm going to do, oopsie, didn't mean to hit that, is I'm going to teach you guys how I do some fun coloring with this. To adhere this down, I'm actually going to use glue dots. Anytime I have texture, I usually use glue dots or Stampin' Dimensional adhesive. I haven't eaten, and my husband and kids are on their way back with food for me. So if you guys are seeing this, I am fine. I've had 2 cups of coffee and no food, because that's how Jamie rolls some days. Okay, so you can see here, I've already die cut this Amazing for You. I would say make sure that all the little hanging chads are pushed out. Use a toothpick or a stylus. If you have the new Pick Your Way tool, it has a stylus attached. It has a pick you can attach. It's really wonderful. That's one of my favorite tools. I just didn't have it in front of me at this exact moment. Set aside the Amazing, set aside here. Now you have this beautiful shimmer paper. Can you see? I'm going to see if I can move slowly. This is the shimmery white cardstock. See if I can catch that shimmer for you guys. It's hard to capture on the film. It's a very subtle shimmer. This is what you actually have. We're going to take this stamp with the leaves, or the trees, just like so, and we're going to stamp it in crushed curry ink pad. This is the new ink pads. How I love them is an understatement, my dears. I actually own them in every color now because they are so great. They store so well. Now, I've stamped it in the crushed curry, and the reason you had to add on the Regals and markers is because we're going to use the paintbrush side. We're going to take from the stem and go up. Just go up. That's how you're going to create this really fun two-tone look. It's surprisingly easy. There's lots of techniques like thumping, but that doesn't work as soft with this amazing texture of this fine line stamp. And then we're going to, you can huff on it if you thought it was dry. It is not dry. I'm going to stamp it in the middle. And while it's still wet, I'm going to go off to the side, create some more stamped off images, just like so. And you just want to create what looks like a bunch of variegated backgrounds. Now I have my chamois here. To say I love my chamois is also an understatement. I literally take and stamp off immediately now at any of my projects and any of my classes. And it gets cleaned up and it's ready to use right away for another color. Isn't that awesome? And I store mine in a clear case. Actually, I'll leave this open for the class and then we'll come back. So we have now a colorful, deep, sparkling little foresty scene. And then what we're going to do is using the glue dots again, we're going to, you could use snail, but when you have texture, you have less cardstock to hold onto because the images are up and down. And I'm gonna go ahead and place that right here on, make sure you do it the right direction. Always double check your cards to make sure how it's opening. Let's go ahead and place that down right in the center. Now I'm gonna take the glue dots and I'm gonna roll them. So I just do a little roll with my finger. If you have your tool with you, you can do that as well. You can use a fine tip glue pen. You can do a lot with that. The little boogers make it easy to craft. I know that some people struggle with the glue dots. So you do have the alternate to use our Tombow glue, our fine tip glue pen, you name it. And I actually have it here on my stamping table. I always try to keep my adhesives close by. But I'm just gonna go with the fast use of glue dots. So you don't need to do every letter, you just need to do a few of them. And what we're gonna do is put down this amazing so that it goes just like so. There's no right or wrong, but you can see here how this really comes together, and you have the shimmer of the glimmer paper, you have the shimmer of the paper, and you have the two-tone look of this fall look, and the variegated background, just like so. Now this comes already ready for you. All you have to do is stamp and apply your technique, and you're ready, and your adhesive, of course, and you're ready, set, go. Now let's go ahead and do card number 2. Card number 2 is tons of fun. It is this I'm Thankful for You card. You'll find a white card with Early Espresso, white shimmer paper again, and these die cut trees and a piece of vellum. Okay, so we're going to create this really beautiful card. So with the Whisper White thick cardstock base, scored at 4 1/4, cut at 5 1/2, with Early Espresso cardstock cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4, and then you have the shimmery white background, Whisper White shimmery white cardstock that is cut at 3 3/4 by 5 inches. We've already die cut with this die set that coordinates with the bundle there. So Into the Woods, or In the Woods, has this great collection of coordinating dies that work with it, and there's 2 dies that make the trees. We've done this for you. It's in the Wood Texture Embossing, or Wood Texture Designer Series paper, and there's 3 of them. 3 of them that are the same size. We also have a strip of 1 inch by 5 1/2 piece of vellum cardstock. And we're gonna stamp this I'm Thankful for You with the stamp set Painted Harvest right here. That's item number 144783. That's 144783. I believe I'm not able to send you anything that's stamped, but you should own this, or you can stamp it with one of the many sentiments in this stamp set that you will find, like the thinking of you this season, or another one that you might own. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So this is a really fun technique where we're going to take the buffalo check background stamp, and I use one of our grid papers, and I do it just like so. So here's the buffalo check, and here is our embossing folder. You'll see it just like this. This is the wood panel right there. Don't you love that? I just love this look. And we're going to take the Early Espresso ink pad. Again, how I love these ink pads. They store so well. They stack so easily. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stamp the buffalo check with the Early Espresso ink pad. These ink pads hold ink so well and give you a great background textured look. Okay, so I'm gonna close this. Actually, I'm not gonna close it because we're gonna use it in just a second. And I'm gonna take and open up this embossing folder, and I'm gonna place the buffalo check on the inside, and I'm going to impress. I look for the side of the embossing folder that says Stampin' Up, just like so. That is also the side that the negative is raised in. So you'll want to make sure that the background gets it. You don't have to push too hard. You don't want to put it inside of the negative area. And you have a stamp that looks just like so. So I'm going to set aside my buffalo check. It's actually probably good and easy to use this for multiple cards at that point. Now I'm going to remove the thin die adapter, setting that aside. I'm going to grab my Big Shot. And then what we're going to do is put one of these at the base. We're going to take this shimmer white cardstock, and when you look at that shimmer white, you can hopefully see some of the shimmer. Let's see if I can get it to really manifest on there. It's very subtle, but it is really an amazing little accent to your project. So here I'm going to stick the shimmer paper on the front like so and hold it and put my plates on it. My plates are a little bowed. We just had a big event that we were doing. I did a big event, and so I have to replace my plates periodically. You can go forward and back if you so choose, just like so. The pressure is in the middle of your Big Shot. That's really where you're going to get your best pressure. And this is the coolest technique. It's one of my favorite ways to make a dynamic background. Look at that. Don't you love that? There you have this plaid buffalo check behind this wood texture. I'm going to put this away. I've already die cut for you with the dies. So what we're going to do is we're going to layer. We're going to take and layer with the dimensionals for this card. Our Stampin' Dimensionals are one of my favorite adhesives to use. We have two sizes. We have the mini and the regular. I'm going to take the back of this and the raised portion. I'm going to place a variety of dimensionals. And when you have a longer piece of paper with texture especially, which has weakened and changed the fiber of your card, you want to add a few to the middle to make sure it has adequate support. So then what we're going to do is place this over the Early Espresso cardstock. Boop. Okay, and then this is one of my favorite things to do, is stamp on vellum. If you wonder why, it's a nondescript way to make a wow. Vellum takes your projects up a notch. And we're going to take the vellum, I'm So Thankful for You, we're going to take that image and we're going to stamp on there the "I'm so thankful for you." With the photopolymer, you want to make sure it's released. You can see that there. Isn't it gorgeous? I mean, seriously, it's just one of those dynamic wow aspects. And with photopolymer, I try to put those stamps right away. This will take a second to dry. Because vellum is non-porous, you'll actually have a longer time to dry before you apply it. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so it's going to take a little while for it to dry. You can see here it's still pretty wet, like that. And usually I will hide my vellum adhesive because vellum amplifies that. So I'm going to take and emboss this scored cardstock. The thick Whisper White is ideal for card bases. That's something you really should invest in, would be a card base like that. And then we're going to take more dimensionals across the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, and yes, I sing to myself, and 5. All right. I'm going to place it across the front of this. Always make sure that wherever you impressed upon that you actually can see the bottom open up. We're going to stick it just like so. And now this actually shimmers just like this here. It's harder to see with the bright lights. I actually think that, let me see here. It's easier to see without the bright lights. And if you have it in front of you, you should be able to see the sparkle that's worked into the Whisper White of this shimmer white. I love it. Okay, so we're going to take our glue dots. One of my, again, our adhesives are so amazing. I love them. And we're going to take, and you can actually just put one full dot in the back. And you're wondering why. Place it wherever you want it across the front. Remember, it's designed to go over the 2 other textures because it's supposed to cut and fit the full white. And then you can take one of these here. Again, use your Pick a tool, apply it beforehand, however you want to do it, and put it behind your words, which will hide your thankful. It's going to take a little while to dry, so just keep that in mind. Then we're going to take our trees. I've given you 3 die cut, just like so. And you want to create a staggered look. So I just take and roll my glue dots in a couple of places, and I'll stick it like so. 1, and it doesn't matter, there's no right or wrong on how you stagger your trees. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to place one in the middle, slightly smaller, or shorter I should say, than I do the ones framing it, which gives you this odd numbers look ideal in all of your crafting. It's actually very feng shui from what I understand, but, and yes, I see it sticking off there, right there. We'll use our paper snips to snip that off. Boop. And I always try to find my bits and pieces and throw them away because otherwise I'll be stamping and I don't know why I've got a weird texture underneath of something. And if you have an embossing buddy, if you have any adhesive that's sticking through these really fine trees, you can use the embossing buddy to stop the stickiness, if you didn't know that. Embossing buddies are one of my favorite tools for crafting, especially for heat embossing, which is what we will be doing next. So here is my 3 trees, I'm thankful for you card. The vellum actually adds this really great texture and a very soft breakup of the card. And that is how you end up with this really cool background texture with the buffalo check, the texture of this, and you can see how the check filled in even the little nooks and crannies of the birch trees here. I love it. So easy peasy lemon squeezy, but these little techniques take your project up a next notch. So let's go ahead and do the next card. The next card we're going to do is this 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 Night of Navy cardstock, and we're going to use silver embossing powder. We're going to use the tree from this stamp set, just like so, and we're going to use the embossing buddy. So go ahead and get that ready for you, and let's go ahead and create it. So to create this beautiful 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 Night of Navy cardstock, I just cut the cardstock at 4 1/4, cut it at 8 1/2, and then scored it at 4 1/4 to give you this great little square card. If you want to make an impression, surprisingly or not, take away a little bit of cardstock and you can do that very thing, like this cool little card. With our embossing punch board, you could actually create a custom envelope to fit it if you wish. Or you can just stick this right inside of an envelope. It might have a little bit of a white flap, but it still will mail perfectly well. We're going to take the Little Twinkle Designer Series paper that you'll see here, just like so. And I love this celestial background. If you hate it, go ahead and do the gray on back. Still super cute, right? I mean, I can imagine the trees on that being beautiful. And we're going to use silver embossing powder. We're going to use our Versamark watermark pad. We're going to use the embossing buddy. So you just kind of drop the embossing buddy and run it across the top of your card or your designer series paper. And the reason we do that is to give your paper a clean, oil-free surface. It's kind of like when you apply makeup, right? We're going to take the Thinking of You this season, stamped in the Versamark. And you should be able to see it. It's very subtle. Can you see the words right there? See if I can catch it in the light. You know, it's kind of sticky. I don't want to dilly-dally. And we're going to take the tree, stamp it in the middle. And again, odd numbers are ideal for crafting. So I'm going to kind of go off to the side. And then we're going to take the silver embossing powder. I actually store my embossing powder in these little plastic tin, like little plastic, I don't know, what are they? Gladwares, Rubbermaid tins. My kids' deli meat comes inside of it. We get this healthy deli meat that, well, healthy, it's questionable, it's deli meat, right? But nitrate-free version or whatever. And often when I'm going to be embossing, I actually take the embossing buddy and I rub it across my fingers like so that I can absorb the oils that are on my fingers naturally. Okay, so you can see this is a very gunmetal green or gray look. And it's very subtle. It doesn't have to be in your face. And what we're going to do is take our heat tool. And I'm going to take a little paintbrush. I keep a paintbrush on my table at all times. And I go in, and this might even be a makeup brush to be truthful. And I'm going to go in and see if there's any fine lines where like a clump might be. You can actually kind of thunk behind it to remove any like smears that you might see. You want to have that removed before you heat set it, because once it's heat set, it's there. Now, unlike a hair dryer, we're going to do this real quick with our heat tool. I'm going to take it to the full 2 clicks, and I'm going to hold it at a 45-degree angle until it's set. My kids call this magic because I think it looks just like magic as well. Our heat tool is not very loud, so that's pretty awesome. If you have acrylic fingernails, you want to be cautious that you hold this with a little pair of tongs or that kind of thing. And you can see here, right when it changes, it's like magic. It lights up, and I don't move it until it starts to heat set. The more you emboss, the faster your tool will work because the coils inside have warmed up. My grandparents used to take me out to go look at the trees and the city lights during the holidays, and we would go to this farm, and my grandfather would pick up a blue spruce, a gigantic blue spruce for my grandmother every year because she only got the best. They were happily married for almost 74 years, 75 years almost, when she passed away. So you want to be careful not to overheat it. I know that there's like a little bald spot right there, but that's okay because you can scorch the paper. And then I did grab my Take a Pick tool, That's this one here. It's item number 144107. I love it. So what we're going to do is take the gooey end, believe it or not. You can use the spatula piece, but you don't need to. And we're going to see the little white goo. We're going to go in and pick up the rhinestones. They're adhesive backed. And I'm going to apply probably 5 to this project because a little sparkle does wonders. I have no problem going underneath of the adhesive backed, but this is even better. And I have been stamping with Stampin' Up! For almost 13 years as a demonstrator and well many years before that. And so to tell you I love that pick a tool is an understatement. It's awesome. So then what we're going to do is take the Whisper White cardstock that we have cut at 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. We're going to take our dimensional adhesive and we're going to apply these to the background. Yes, I do it every time. 3, 4, and 5, because it's fun to sing to yourself. And then we're going to apply it. There's a very small margin here. Oh, it looks like my cardstock might be cut too big. Let me take a quick look on this. I want to make sure it's at 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. Okay, so I just double checked, and yes, it did say it was at the exact measurements, which is just a tight fit to this 4x4 piece of Whisper the Twinkle Designer Series paper. And I love the variances of the whole background on that. It's beautiful. And when you have that silver on it, it's pretty dynamic. Then we're going to take this 4 1/4 by 8 1/4 or 8 1/2, 8 1/2. And we're going to impress upon the back. We're going to apply this with the dimensionals across the front, and then you have a custom card. And what's funny is that a square card stands out because it's not your normal size. And people have a tendency to put a slightly smaller card, believe it or not, at the front of their pile. So they like something that stands out. I do too, actually. I don't know about you guys, but it's pretty fun to have an unusual looking card. Check your card the way it opens every single time, because a backwards card can be fixed. It's just not ideal. So then you end up with a little silver and navy, beautiful celestial image. Don't you dig it? I know I do. And then we're going to do our last card. That's one here is die cut with the Dream from the Wish Big dies, and we're going to use the birch wood across the front of this Designer Series paper. You have received all of this in your kit, so let me go ahead. Our birch wood, just like so. We're going to take and move the espresso away because that's sitting open right here. And if I'm not cautious, I get my fingers into stuff. Then what we're going to do is take and we die cut it out of our silver glimmer paper. You'll have that in your kit. You'll have this Designer Series paper and the gray granite cardstock behind it. You'll have the Whisper White cardstock scored at 4 1/4, cut at 5 1/2. And these are all suggestions. You're welcome to do whatever you want with your project. I am not the boss of your project. So let's move the Dream card to sew. And then we're going to take this beautiful paper. Now, you could use our Stamparatus to stamp it evenly placed. I'm just going to create, I'm going to take the Embossing Buddy, which I have right here. And I'm going to go across my surface. I use a pad underneath of my crafting, and our grid paper is one of my favorite. I keep it with me at all times because it helps you to stamp straighter. It's one of those things that really does work. Now, I am going to give you fair warning. You can't really see the birch once you've stamped it in the Versamark. So I go from an angle and I look for the shiny. That's just how I work. Maybe you don't need that. So we're going to take the Versamark pad again, and this, we're just going to kind of go like that, and across the front, like so. You could fill the whole card with a birch tree forest if you wanted to. And I turned it as I was stamping it, just so you know. Just like so. And then, and I do say just like so all the time, so it's so cute how I say just like so. We're gonna take our white embossing powder. Again, I keep them all in here because I like to scoop my embossing powders up. And when I grab it, because I know that there's Versamark on this, I'm kind of cautious to hold the outside so that my oils on my finger don't transfer. And I just kind of dump it. So I scoop and dump. These are just plastic spoons. I have birch trees at my home, and sadly the drought in California has killed my birch trees. It makes me so sad. Well, actually, I think it weakened them, and then there's a beetle that eats birch trees. So we actually have a chainsaw. I need to cut our own tree down because that's my life, let me just say. I miss it though. I love my birch trees. Makes me sad. Now we're going to use our embossing heat tool. 2 clicks. And we're going to create, and you're just going to look for it to get shiny. I start at one side, and as you can see here, you have to heat set it, for it has to be done while the Versamark is still sticky. It's relatively quick, believe it or not. I have a pair of little tongs that I use for crafting, and I have those at my heat station, but I am kind of like a dishwasher girl who uses bare hands when I do my dishwashing. And your heat tool is really warm, so you want to be careful not to scorch your surface. I don't apply it to the surface. I have a stone that I use for our embossing station, but often you'll find me just holding it up in the air. Okay, so we're going to turn that off. We're going to use the gray granite. This is why you needed the neutrals and markers. We're going to use the paintbrush side here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go across the heat embossed area. It is heat embossed immediately, so don't feel like you have to wait super long. And yes, this actually will, 2 things to take note of. I'm filling in as many nooks and crannies as I can of the texture of this with this marker, Stampin' Write marker. And I will take, because where the Versamark is, the Stampin' Write marker will not absorb in where the heat embossed image is. So I'll go in and I'm going to wipe it with a napkin afterwards. And I wanted to create like a starry scene with birch trees peeking through. And then I did take clear Wink of Stella, and I covered the trees afterwards. Is this kind of like one of those soothing coloring things? I can get lost in these little moments. And if I were filming this, I would like go super fast and I would put this on a different speed for you guys. But I want you to see just the real-time action of this. You can go in and make it nice and dark so those trees are striking against the background. And it's the same ink color, so it's just tone on tone, which is so soothing to the eye. And I love the look of gray and white. It's one of those classic color combos that people can get away with wearing or decorating in. And grays are all the rage right now. I did not press hard when I used my marker, just so you know. Then I'm taking a napkin. I had one sitting here. My daughter just brought it to me. And what I'll do is I'm gonna grab one here. Hold on. Okay, so I'm just going to take and just go over the surface of the white, and it's kind of like magic. The Versamark, I want to show you up close. This is the section where I did wipe off, and this is the section where the marker is sitting on top of the white. So I'm using a light, damp baby wipe, but you want to be careful not to destroy the texture of this. These are old baby wipes. I don't use baby wipes on my stamps. It's just so bad for your stamps. We have great cleaning tools for that. But here, I'm going to clear off the top of that embossed white so you get that great shine. And looky, looky, it's wet right now, but look how shiny that is. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the gray granite and we're going to put the dimensional adhesive on the back. Anytime you have moisture like that though, be careful because your fabric is weakened. When I say fabric, I really do mean it. This is cotton fibers woven together just like fabric. Paper is just like material. And so it's one of those things you want to just be cautious with because you can tear material and you can tear paper. And I speak from a world of experience. Okay, so we're almost done here. I love that you can add as little or as much of the color and embossing as you'd like. And once it's applied, I'll actually use the clear Wink of Stella to carry through that shine. So we're gonna place it like so. Start with one side. I always do that to get myself a straighter image. And then we're gonna take a clear Wink of Stella and we're just applying glitter to the trees because every tree at night should have that fairy glitter, don't you think? I'm reading, I don't really read fantasy style books, but I'm reading one by some of my favorite authors, like Kristen Ashley. And so she has this fantasy series that I haven't done, but there's like a whole thing about like fairies in the night on one of her books. I don't read that stuff normally, but I really love her writing. So she's a romance author. Okay. And I'm unapologetic. I love me some romance authors, especially her. So there you go. So this here is a sparkling tree background. I want you to see that up in person. Look at this tree sparkling. Isn't that beautiful? And then we're going to take and place this with our snail adhesive across the back. In the front of this card. And then we're going to take the rolled glue dots and apply them to the dream. So I am taking, you could take if you had rhinestones at this point and you wanted to apply them, you can apply those. There's no right or wrong in crafting at all. This is just suggestions by me. If you create something different, I'd love to see what you create. So it always inspires me as well. I love it that we can inspire one another, don't you? Okay, so then we're going to apply this die cut dream to the bottom because it kind of reminds me of like a beautiful holiday dream. Just like so. So then you have a sparkling card with the glimmer paper, the Wink of Stella birch trees over the gray granite star background. We have the silver here, just like so, with the little twinkling stars. We have our texture shimmer embossed background. And we have, you can tell I like glitter, right? We have this fall image. Now, if you wanted to add a dash of Wink here, I would be very cautious. I would literally just kind of go up. It has the shimmer paper, but if you wanted to just kind of emphasize that, you can do that. But I want to point out that your Wink of Stella will actually pick up colors. So you have to be careful that you're not transferring or blending your colors and making it muddle. And you have a beautiful fall, amazing image. So you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I hope you enjoyed this Getting Crafty virtual class. You've received your full kit, and for those that have ordered the kit from me directly that are not part of the Getting Crafty family, go ahead, enjoy your stamp set, create something new. Let me know how it goes with your crafting. I hope that you enjoyed this immensely. I enjoyed creating with you in person. Remember that all of our classes are available now with the Getting Crafty virtual option, so you can craft with us in person or virtually. Hello. I mean, look, isn't that gorgeous? I love it. One stamp set, limitless possibilities. And with our coordinating products, it makes it super easy. Thanks for joining us today. Happy stamping. And if I don't hear from you for the holidays, happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Bye.